take those ions, and some of them are going to get crossed out because they are spectator. Like you're at a game and you're excited, okay? These are spectators, okay? So let's talk about step number 1. Mirror words.
Mirror words.
Step 1 of ionic equations.
Step 1 of ionic equations
is to write a balanced equation.
is to write a balanced equation.
Step 1 of net ionic equations
Step 1 of net ionic equations
is to write a balanced equation.
is to write a balanced equation.
Teach.
Okay.
How do you show a balanced equation?
Step 1.
Show. How do you show a balanced equation? No, what's the action for it is what I'm asking you. That's it. All right. Class, oh class.
Yes. Oh, yes.
All right, step 1 is to write a balanced equation. That sounds like a simple step, but there are multiple steps required to do that. You're going to notice that we have to write out the products that are not there. Then we have to balance that equation. So all of that's going to be required in step number 1. Step number 2, we're going to take all of those ions and split them, okay, into their individual ions. So we use this for aqueous. Down here, we're going to grab some ions and show that they got split, okay? Mirror words.
Mirror words.
Step 2 of net ionic equations.
Step 2 of net ionic equations
is to split the ions into their individual positive and negative charges.
Is to split the ions into both positives and negative ions.
Step 2 of net ionic equations
Step 2 of net ionic equations
is to split the ionic compounds into their individual ions.
is to split the ionic compounds into their individual ions.
Mirrors off. I want you to review step 2 only. That's step 2 only. Teach.
Okay.
So, step 2, net ionic
Split into the individual ions. Separate ions. Split into the individual ions. Shut up. Split into the individual ions. Did she say that in other words? Split the ions.
Split the compound into their individual ions.
Class.
Yes. Yes.
All right, so I'm looking for a volunteer to stand up and review for us step 1 only. John.
Step 1 of the net ionic equation. Write a balanced equation in all states.
Okay, thank you, John. 10-finger woo. All right, I'm looking for a second volunteer that could pop up and teach us step 2. John.
Step 2 net ionic equation. Split any ionic compound into individual ions.
10-finger woo. All right, so we are ready for step 3. Step 3, once we have these individual ions, we're going to notice that on the reactant side and then again on the product side, some of those ions are in both places. So when they're in both places, we're going to cancel them out because they are spectator ions. If they're located on one side and the other, they're just floating around in the solution. They are not reacting. So step 3 of net ionic equations is to cross out those spectator ions. Mirror words.
Mirror words.
Step 3 of net ionic equations is to cross out the spectator ions. Step 3 of net ionic equations is to cross out the spectator ions. Mirrors off. Teach.
Okay.
Yes, we're going to eventually sing that song together, Dave.
That's not good.
Cross out. Cancel out. Cross out. Cross out. She can't be cross.
Class. I'm looking for a volunteer to talk us through all 3 steps of net ionic equations. John, why don't you pick someone else for me? All right, so we are going to let Classcraft decide. You have all been practicing, so any one of you could do this. Class, eyes on target. Joseph. Oh, you use your dodge power. I see. I'm gonna look to see that he's not pulling my leg. He actually did.
He's not here.
All right. When this calls on someone that's absent, it means we're supposed to think about them for just a second. Everybody think about Tobias. He's not here. All right. Eyes on target. You got this, Hudson. Hey, class. Not all of you knew there was a dodge power. Let's give Joseph a 10-finger woo for knowing about that. All right, you got this, Hudson. Hey, call them back. Can you say class first, just because? There we go.
Your words. Step 1 of net ionic equation.
Step 1 of net ionic equation.
Balanced equation. Step 2 of net ionic equation. Step 2 of net ionic equation. That's cool. Crossover.
Oh. He needs help because I took it away. That'll help. Go ahead. One more time. Take the ionic compound and split it into separate ions. Step 3 of net ionic equation. Cross out the spectator ions. Ah! Now, John, will you point to someone that's going to give us a creative teach? So stomps, claps, snaps. Pick someone, John, that's going to give us a teach. Go ahead, John. He's trying to be creative. Bryce, you got this. You're doing a creative teach.
You know, like you go like that? No, like the class. Oh, you gotta say class. All right, class. Yes. Wait, no. The class teach thing. All right, just teach. Oh, teach.
Okay, let's hear it. All 3. Go. Thank you, Hudson.
Rule number 2 of net ionic equation. Split any compounds into
Classity class. Let's use those 3 steps to do this first example together. Grab your pencils and notice that we have a compound here, an arrow, 2 new compounds. Tell me, Jake, what type of an equation is this? You start with 2 compounds and you end with 2 compounds. Double replacement. 10-finger woo? Woo! All right, so what we're going to do with each of these compounds is we're going to separate them into their ions.